Howie Roseman's 3 trades on Sunday show exactly why he is a genius general manager. I'll tell you why coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Welcome in, Eagles fans, to this Monday edition of the show. I'm your host, Louis DiBiase. The preseason is over. We are moving forward, looking to week 1. Eagles, Cowboys, less than 2 weeks away. Actually, only a week away from this Thursday. So make sure you're subscribing to Locked On Eagles on all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. We're posting shows Monday through Friday. We have 2 live squad shows, our hour-long specials on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Post-game shows right after the game. Pre-game shows beforehand. Locked and loaded for the 2025 regular season. So, too, is Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, after yesterday, has now made 5 trades in the month of August. He made 3 trades yesterday as the Eagles are getting ready for cut week, getting this roster down this week to 53 players. He traded for Sam Howell. He traded back for left tackle / right tackle Fred Johnson, traded away Darian Kennard. And we'll get into the specifics of those trades in the second segment, but I feel like those trades as a whole, all 3 combined, show the genius of Howie Roseman and why the Eagles have been able to be both aggressive for the short term and build a sustainable long-term future since this new era began at the end of the 2020 season. And for me, number one, what happened yesterday shouldn't surprise you at all that the guy who started the trade era made 3 trades in a day. But again, these trades show, again, what Howie Roseman is so special at. There's a common theme that I love about these moves. Like, he never loses draft capital. He either does pick swaps, or because he trades so much, so often, 3 trades in one day. I mean, in the 2024 draft, he broke the record for most draft day trades in an entire singular draft in the history of the NFL. Because either he swaps picks or he trades so often, he almost instantly always replaces the picks that he spent in another trade. So he really never depletes his long-term assets for the sake of being aggressive in the short term. It allows him to be aggressive for the short term without sacrificing that future when he trades so often, when he finds a way to get players. And, you know, he might move down from, he gives Houston a 5th round pick, but he gets a 6th rounder. And then he gets a 5th rounder back and gives another team a 6th rounder in another trade. And so he's constantly playing this, you know, song and dance for the short term, but he never really loses that cabinet of weapons that he has for the long term. Like, this isn't like post 2017 where Howie Roseman was being aggressive in the 2018 season, trading away a 3rd round pick for, you know, Golden Tate, or at the end of the 2017 season before the deadline, you know, he trades a day 3 pick for Jay Ajayi. He trades a pick in, you know, 2019 for Jannard Avery. And, you know, he kind of depleted his draft, you know, chest of future picks for the sake of, you know, running it back after Super Bowl 52. He sacrificed the long term for the short term. He tried to maximize that window as much as possible. Whereas right now he's trying to do the same, but he's not giving up picks. Like, there isn't a draft that's coming up anytime soon like there was in 2018 where the guy only has 5 picks in 3 days. Like, he's having his cake and he's eating it too. And that's what you saw yesterday. Like, he was able to add Sam Howell, and we'll get into why I like each move individually on its own in the second segment, but he's able to bring in Sam Howell. He's able to retain Fred Johnson after losing him in free agency, a very important backup tackle to this football team in 2024. He's able to get those 2 guys and then trade away Darian Kennard. And yeah, I guess he gave up in the long term 1 day 3 pick, but he was still able to maintain, there were 3 picks that were moved back and forth yesterday. Howie only lost in all 3 trades, there were picks going back and forth, but in the end, he only ended up losing 1 day 3 pick, and he has 1,000 draft picks in the next 2 years. So you got 2 really important reserve players. You gave up 1, and you really didn't like lose any of your future assets. Like that's what makes Howie so great in this post, like this Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts era, this Super Bowl 57-59 era. Again, he's not sacrificing the long term for the short term or the short term for the long term. It's a direct result of how he's stockpiling draft picks since 2021. Like he turned one good year of draft capital, of a high volume of draft capital, into a 4-year run of riches. Where, again, he can do a lot of these things because he has so many picks. And that's what I love about what Howie Roseman has done. Like, people give him credit so much for being aggressive, for, being innovative and, being like reflective of his past mistakes and learning from those and trying to always find a market inefficiency. Like there's so many things that make Howie Roseman a great general manager. I just think overall his talent evaluation in drafts has been significantly better post 2020. But I think finding the middle ground between everything, between short-term and long-term roster building, not just being hell-bent, not getting tunnel vision in one specific strategy, one specific approach. That's also what makes him a great general manager, because as a GM, your responsibility isn't just to the short term, but it's also to the long term. And in the NFL, like guys, I will give Howie, I will give other GMs some credit or, kind of give them an excuse. A lot of GMs don't have the long-term leash that Howie Roseman does. Like Jeffrey Lurie basically gives Howie a lifetime contract every time he needs another extension. Like Howie Roseman has the flexibility to maintain a long-term objective approach when he has so much job security. Like he's won 2 championships in under a decade. And even before that, like if he wasn't going to get fired in 2020, and I thought at the time he should get fired, so that just shows what I know. But if he wasn't going to get fired then, he's never going to get fired. So like a Chris Ballard, for instance, in Indianapolis, and a lot of it's these GMs' own doing that they can't think for the long term because they haven't built a consistent winner. But a lot of those GMs can't afford to do what Howie Roseman does, and Howie's able to take advantage of that, and it's why he's able to do what he does. So that's what I really liked about Sunday's approach was, again, you saw him adding like key backups that they might need in 2025. I think Sam Howell and Fred Johnson play very important roles this season, but they were also able to collect draft picks back, trading Darian Kennard away. And even in the Fred Johnson, Sam Howell trades, in the Howell trade, they moved down a round. They gave up a 5th, but got a 6th back. And then for Fred Johnson, they only gave up a 7th. And then they turn around and trade Darian Kennard away, and they get a 6th round pick back. So, I mean, that's again what I love about this is you're able to be aggressive in the short term without emptying the weaponry. And that's, again, why I love Howie Roseman as a general manager. And it's fun. Like, he makes so many trades that it's such an entertaining life as an Eagles fan. I mean, he made 3 trades in one day. It's like, I felt like I couldn't put my phone down. I needed to go to the grocery store and get stuff for dinner. I wanted to go out to dinner. And it's just like, I have to make sure Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, I have those notifications on X ready to go, because this is what Howie does. This is what he's done since 2016 when he started the trade era of the NFL. So you shouldn't really be shocked that he just controlled the headlines yet again on Sunday. But again, specifically the players that he acquired yesterday and traded away. He acquired Sam Howell and he acquired Fred Johnson back. He traded away Darian Kennard. I really like each of those moves in a vacuum, and I'll tell you why coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast, we are brought to you by Rugiet. Rugiet, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in just 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. What's best about it? It's discreet, completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. Head to rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use our code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL. Again, use our promo code LockedOnNFL and you're going to get 15% off your order. Guys, today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. August 26th, tomorrow, is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, Jalen Hurts, eyeing a long shot division winner, for me that's the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC South, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Again, for me, I think Jalen Hurts has a really good opportunity this year to win his first regular season MVP. He's got that reputation under his belt as a Super Bowl MVP. Voters, a lot of the times, go by turns. Okay, we got to make sure Josh Allen gets an MVP. Pat Mahomes needs another one. It's a human-based judgment with the MVP award, and I think they might say, hey, Jalen Hurts, if he goes out and they throw a lot more this year and they win because of him after he got a championship because of him in Super Bowl 59, maybe he wins an MVP. You can put that future down on FanDuel, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your future bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only tomorrow. FanDuel, play your game. Thanks as always for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. It's a Monday edition of the show. This is our only week until, I hope, February, where Eagles football is not happening, but we still have a lot to talk about. Howie Roseman made 3 trades yesterday. The Eagles trying to get down to the 53-man roster this week, so a lot of players going to get cut. I'm sure there will be more trades. Waivers is going on. The Eagles did waive quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson yesterday, so not only did they make 3 trades, but they did waive DTR, and they did that in part because they traded for Sam Howell. So now we know your top 3 quarterbacks for the 2025 season are locked in. Kyle McCord not making this roster. A really good candidate, though, for the practice squad to continue to develop him. He's showing in that finale against the Jets. He's just not ready for the NFL, at least not as of yet, to be on a 53-man roster. Tanner McKee's finger injury, it's not long-term, but he might be out for the first couple weeks of the season. And I'm sorry, Kyle McCord, if something happens to Jalen Hurts, if McCord is your QB2, you're in trouble. So in general, that's why I like the Howell trade, just from that perspective, is it significantly upgrades your QB3 spot. And what I also like about it is talking about in the first segment, flexibility and having your cake and eating it too. That's kind of what the Sam Howell trade does, is it right now gives you an incredible QB room. Tanner McKee and Sam Howell combined might be the best backup quarterback duo in the entire NFL. So if Jalen Hurts goes down, you have 2 players that I think can win you football games and still help you make the postseason. I don't know if McKee or Howell or a Nick Foles, and they're going to take you on a championship run, but both have shown that they can be, I think, in my opinion, solid starters in the NFL with a good support system, or at least very, very high-end backup. So it gives you that for 2025, but it also gives you the flexibility now that if a team did call you and offer you the right price for Tanner McKee and they say, look, we want McKee to be our starter. Let's say there's an injury, kind of like there was back in 2016 to Teddy Bridgewater, and so Minnesota came knocking at the door for Sam Bradford, and you got a first-round pick for him. I'm not saying you're going to get a first-round pick for Tanner McKee, but let's say a team says, we'll give you a 2 and a 3. Now, with Sam Howell on the roster, I know he's a free agent after this year, but I think Sam Howell can be a very good backup quarterback. I think he showed in 2023 with the Washington Commanders when there was a month and a half long run where the guy's throwing 40-plus attempts a game, that he can be at least a solid starter. I mean, in 2 games against the Eagles in 2023, he produced. He put up numbers in 2 really close games. Let me pull up the numbers here real quick. So week 4, 2023, Sam Howell against Philadelphia. 70.7% completion percentage, 291 passing yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, and he had 41 attempts in that game. So high volume, high efficiency. In that second game, he went 39 of 52, a 75% completion percentage, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Sam Howell lit the Eagles up in that second game. The Eagles were able to win in a close shootout, 38-31, but Howell proved, listen to these passing attempts in 2023. 31, 39, 29, 41, 51, 42, 52, 45, 44, 45, 45. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 straight weeks where Sam Howell threw at least 40 passing attempts. So that to me is a high-end backup quarterback. I think he can be one of the best backups in the NFL. So if somebody does call for Tanner McKee, I'm confident in Sam Howell. Sam Howell is by far the best QB3 in the NFL. And so I think this move just makes a lot of sense. And you really didn't give up much. You moved down on day 3 of the 2025 NFL draft, but so be it. I think you're, again, going to recoup those draft picks when you eventually do trade Tanner McKee or somebody else. Howie moves up and down the board so much during draft week that he'll recollect those picks. And even if he doesn't, he was set to have over 13 selections in next year's draft. So you had to trade some of them eventually. You can't make a pick with every single one of those selections. And so I like kind of the short-term and long-term motivation behind bringing in Sam Howell. And who's saying you can't extend him after this year if you do get a good offer for Tanner McKee? So I really like the Howell move. I think he's more than capable of being your QB2, certainly more than capable of being a QB3, and significantly upgrades that spot instead of it being Kyle McCord or DTR. And then the Fred Johnson trade, I really like that too, because I was nervous about that primary backup tackle spot. I said on Friday's preview show before the Eagles-Jets finale that I was really going to be watching Myles Hinton, Cameron Williams, Kendall Lamb. I think if Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson go down, that's the biggest loss you could have in the starting lineup that could cost you wins outside of Jalen Hurts getting injured. So I really wanted to see those guys step up because Fred Johnson was a good primary backup tackle last year. Specifically that New Orleans Saints game, week 3 stands out where he came in for Lane Johnson and he battled. He played really well, and the Eagles, without Fred Johnson, they don't win that football game. I thought he was a very good, new version of Halapoulivaati Vaitai. And so he ended up, leaving in free agency for Jacksonville. Didn't work out over there. You get him back, you're paying almost nothing. Pennies on the dollar from a contractual standpoint. You only give up a 7th-round pick, which then you get back in the Darian Kennard trade. And I think Fred Johnson's clearly an upgrade over what you had. Kendall Lamb did not look good this summer, and he was going to be supposedly your primary backup because he had a lot of starting experience in Miami. I don't think he's that guy. Now I don't even know if he makes the team. And the rookies, they're just not ready to be that primary backup. What I like about this move, too, though, is it does clear up a spot for one of those guys. Now I could totally see the Eagles keeping 2 of 3 when it comes to Myles Hinton, Cameron Williams, a Trevor Keegan, who had a really good summer, underratedly so in year 2, put up some really good preseason tape. Now you're okay, we don't have to keep Kendall Lamb and Darian Kennard. We can have maybe a roster spot or 2 go to one of those developmental players. Myles Hinton had a really good summer. I thought his tape against the Jets was really impressive. Myles Hinton, somebody I'm really excited about. So you have Fred Johnson. He's your veteran backup that plays right away. Now you don't have to keep as many guys. It can be instead of Kennard and Kendall Lamb, now you're keeping Matt Pryor still. You've got Fred Johnson. And then, hey, let's keep Trevor Keegan as one of our primary backup guards. I still think Cameron Williams gets stashed away on that phantom IR. But for me, I was a little bit nervous about the short-term future of that backup tackle spot. The long-term, I'm excited about Hinton, Williams, Holland Pierce. I think they have a good group. But for this year, I don't think any of them were ready to play from the start if Mailata or Lane Johnson go down. So, Fred Johnson, getting him back is a really nice move. And in a vacuum, again, you traded away a day 3 pick for Fred Johnson. You got it back in the Kennard trade. So you essentially traded Darian Kennard for Fred Johnson. And that's an upgrade too, when you just look at it that way. Kennard is not a better player, in my opinion, than Fred Johnson. So you traded away a day 3 pick for Fred. You got one back for Kennard. That's an upgrade. Getting Kennard basically for Fred Johnson back is a great move. So I thought it was a really successful day for Howie Roseman through these trades. I love bringing in Sam Howell. I love getting Fred Johnson back. Darian Kennard, honestly, I didn't even know if he was going to, I think he was going to probably make the roster, but I didn't really want to give a spot to him over one of those young guys. And so I just think this was a great day of not losing future assets, but upgrading your current 53-man roster. Howie Roseman had his cake, and he ate it too. We'll wrap up this Monday edition of Locked On Eagles coming up next. After that finale, after these trades, who from my predictions last week on the 53-man roster show do I now not have him making the team? And new players I do have him make the roster, with cut day being this week. We'll get into that coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast, we are brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner. You can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. We just had our draft on Yahoo Fantasy the other week. Everyone's researching, drafting, building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy. We just had our 14-team, two-keeper draft. You should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran like us. We've had our league since 2009. Creating your millionth league, Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features that make the game even better. With season kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy football, and there's so many ways to compete. Like, they have their guillotine leagues, which I'm obsessed with guillotine. You can play instantly with friends and head-to-heads if you want to join a public league as well. Super easy way to play, no problem at all. The NFL season, like I said, kicks off September 4th. Eagles-Cowboys next Thursday. Don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. All right, Eagles fans, we are wrapping up this Monday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure your second listen. Again, get ready for the fantasy football season with Locked On Fantasy Football. Monday through Friday, we're going to help you build your championship roster in 2025. Howie Roseman trying to build his championship roster for the 2025 season. Roster cuts are this week. The Eagles need to get down only in one wave of cuts to 53 players, not like the past where there were multiple waves of cuts. Nope, all in one big sitting this week. So we got you covered all week long, updating you on who the Eagles are trading for, signing, claiming off waivers, who they're cutting and waiving. Howie, again, busy at work this weekend. Wave DTR, traded for Sam Howell, traded for Fred Johnson, traded Darian Kennard away. It's always a busy time as an Eagles fan when Howie Roseman is your general manager. But with those trades, with the preseason finale, kind of showing you who deserves to be on this team and who doesn't, I do want to tweak my predictions from last week a little bit. So here are players that I didn't initially have making my 53-man roster on my prediction show last week that now, after these past few days, I do have making it. So one guy I mentioned briefly in segment 2 was guard Trevor Keegan, who was drafted out of Michigan last year on day 3. Trevor Keegan, to me, can be a good backup guard. Left guard, right guard, also played some center in the OTAs this offseason, so they were kind of cross-training him. And Keegan was somebody that I thought was on the outside looking in. I kind of focused more on the rookie class this year over Keegan. He was kind of quiet, didn't hear much about him. And then you put on his preseason tape from the 3 games, and you're like, hold on. Like, this kid can actually play. Like, this guy looks good. I thought Trevor Keegan was one of your better offensive linemen on the interior throughout the 3 games of the preseason. So I think he has a really good chance to make this football team. Now that, Kennard is gone, I don't think Cameron Williams is ready to be an active player on this roster. Same with Holland Pierce. I think Keegan can be one of those primary guard backups. I think it could be him, Matt Pryor, and Drew Kendall. I think those are those are 3 of your 5 backup offensive linemen. Now I think after yesterday's trades, so it's your starting 5. It's Mailata, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Steen. Those 5 are set in stone. So is Fred Johnson now. He's your primary backup tackle. Drew Kendall is your primary backup center, so we're at 7. I think Miles Hinton does make the team. I thought he earned it. He's my favorite tackle prospect so far of this past draft class. That's 8. I think Matt Pryor makes the team as a veteran, tackle guard tweener that has starting experience. You drafted him. I think Pryor, and he didn't play on Friday night, so that tells me that Pryor is a lock to make the football team. That's 9. There's one spot for Cameron Williams. Do we stash him away? Do we keep a Trevor Keegan? Again, I think Cam Williams is going to the Phantom IR. I think he's going to have a random injury that surfaces and boom, like Ainias Smith last year, he's quote unquote out for the year. And Keegan is your 10th and final player on the offensive line that's kept on this 53-man roster. So I didn't have him on the initial 53 last week. I do think now Keegan probably makes this team. Another guy that people were pretty upset I didn't have on the team was Darius Cooper. And now I think he does make the football team. I named him training camp MVP and then said he wasn't going to make the team. Why? Because history has shown us a lot of times Howie Roseman goes with an Ainias Smith type of player over a Darius Cooper. But you look at that preseason game, Ainias Smith was not great. Darius Cooper has been one of your better players in all of training camp. I do think now he does make the team as that number 6 wide receiver. Another guy I didn't have making the team was Ben Van Sumeren at fullback. I do think the Eagles keep a fullback. BVS is on this football team. It's kind of impressive how he's naturally changed positions from, an inside linebacker to a fullback, and he even caught some passes last week, and he looked pretty natural at it. I think BVS earned a spot on this roster. And then 2 other guys for me, Kylen Granson at tight end and Byron Young at defensive tackle. Kylen Granson, last week I had him losing out to EJ Jenkins, but you look at that game against the Jets, Granson is just such a more natural athlete, a more natural pass catcher. And if Dallas Goedert gets hurt again this year, which I think is pretty much inevitable, as it is every year, I'd rather have a receiving type of tight end like Kylen Granson than an EJ Jenkins, who's a bigger, more physical blocking tight end and more inline traditional player. But Granson, I just think, is a better athlete. He's a better receiver, and I would prefer having him as that third tight end behind Goddard and Calcaterra. And then Byron Young, like I said, a guy I didn't initially have him making the team, but I think Vic Fangio's got to keep 6 defensive tackles. I think Byron Young has looked really good, underratedly so, and this is a former 3rd-round pick out of Auburn. Like, this is a pretty interesting talent, and I think he can be that, number 6 guy with, I think him and Gabe Hall earned roster spots. And even Jacob Sykes, he had that game-winning stop on the 2-point conversion in the back of the end zone at defensive tackle. I like Jacob Sykes. I hope they find a way to stash him on the practice squad because him and Byron Young looked really impressive against the Jets, but I think they'll keep Young over Sykes if they do keep that, 6th offensive or defensive lineman. So those are 5 guys I didn't have making the team last week that I now do. Trevor Keegan, Darius Cooper, Ben Van Sumeren, Kylen Granson, and then Byron Young. Agbo Okunrakwo, another interesting name, though, to watch. I think on the edge, I have no idea who's going to win that 5th spot. Between him, Antoine Powell-Ryland had a good finale against the Jets, had a strip sack, multiple key pressures late in the game. Patrick Johnson had another sack. He's a preseason warrior. Between those 3, that's going to be a tough call. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Eagles. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Until tomorrow, thanks so much for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.